Let's do it, y'all. All right. Welcome. Welcome to the Wednesday night training. We've been getting insane reviews on this. I've had record amounts of people hitting me up for these, people DMing me, different breakthroughs, a lot of good stuff happening from this, especially the last week one. I've been putting these on YouTube. If you don't have a link to the overall archive of all the trainings and everything we have, I'll put it on Bitly and I'll make sure everyone here gets it. But yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in this group and it's going to keep getting even better. So, as one of us grows, we all grow. I was actually reflecting on this the other day. There's a quote by Howard Schultz, who's the creator of Starbucks. Well, not necessarily creator, but he's one of the main people who made it really big. And he talked about this. He talked about, he called it the euphoria of joint achievement. And I thought that was really cool because he explains how, when one or two people are winning, that's great. But when everyone is winning and you're winning for the sake of winning for other people in the group too, like if you've ever been part of a group before where it's like really good and exciting and like a lot of, people asking me for the training link. If you've ever been part of a group where everyone's working together as a team and you're really like creating that next level of what's possible, man, some good stuff comes from that. So that's part of what Self-Perfect is all about. Just before we really dive into the training for tonight is really being part of that group where everybody's winning in different ways. Like for JJ, I mean, you've been doing this for a while and you're playing at a really high level. There's other people who are still really new to this. But the more you hang around, the more you like stick by the fire, man, it can't help but rub off on you. And we see it time and time and time again. That's the power of community. That's something that AI and the state of the world and where everything's headed, it can never compete with that, the power of human interaction. So with that being said, y'all, we got a great training in store for tonight. Drake will be joining us in 4 minutes. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna make sure we're all set up here with the tech stuff. If you got a win, throw it in the chat. If you got a win from the past week, let's hear it. And then I gotta just find that one thing in the chat. Where is this? Here we go. Mute all upon entry. All right, when people join, if you're watching us on the live stream, about to be muted on entry. But if you got questions or anything, just drop them in the chat. Hey, JJ's on number 8 on college radio in the US right now. Look at that. Look at that. Programming the masses with his music. All right. Hey, that's awesome, Brandon. No nicotine in the past 2 weeks. That's great, man. This group's all about confront your vices, forgive it, let it go, get on to that next level. So let's dive in. All right. I'm gonna save the Tesla story for when Drake comes in because I love when Drake tells stories. But I'll put it like this. This is the same topic that we're talking about. How would you like if when you're going through your life where you had a compass of sorts? If English is your second language, like if you had a guide or a map. You know how old school, like when people go across the sea, they would look to the stars for direction. There's this idea of when you know where the North Star is, you know where you are, because you can always map yourself relative to that North Star. And what if you could figure out your North Star? So you always have that. I do not know who this is joining the room. Got some new people coming in this group. So what if you always had that North Star where no matter where you were, what you were doing, you could rely on it? And I am not talking about intuition. If you hang around Self-Perfected long enough, you're going to realize that a lot of stuff in the mainstream, especially in mainstream spirituality, is just bullshit. It's very misunderstood and actually leads people astray. Because if the whole spirituality and abundance game worked, why are all these spiritual people just being hippies who are broke? Why would they not actually be multimillionaires running companies, doing all that? It's because a lot of that stuff sounds really good and it's sold to people, but it's not actually how things work. There's some good stuff in it, don't get me wrong. You should focus on abundance, but you should focus on what's the precursors to abundance. That's one example, okay? So back to this idea of a North Star. Is it, Marsha said in the chat, too many stars in the universe. How could I know which one I should follow? Yeah, exactly. There is one star, and it's not actually a star out there in the universe. It's something within you. I know that sounds so cliche, and it's not what you think it is. It's not like follow your heart. It's definitely not follow your heart. It's not follow your intuition. Is there something to be said for the power of your heart? Absolutely. Without your heart, you would die. You can also, there's a pretty cool exercise you can do. It's called heart-brain coherence. And I don't know if you've ever looked up the research on this. This is all tie in. This is the trainings. We don't hold back here. Is like, I'm talking physically your heart and your body in the center of your chest. So there's a way you can map your heart rate. It's called the EKG, electrocardiogram. And then you have something called the EEG, electroencephalogram. And encephal means, if you know, you know. So typically for the average person, if you were to map an EEG and an EKG, they are going at different frequencies and different spikes. And it's like up and a down and up and a down. But they're out of whack. They're chaotic. Now there's a really cool hack you can do where if you put your hand on your heart on an unconscious level and you hold it there for like 90 seconds. What will happen is if you were to be hooked up to an EEG and an EKG, the patterns would actually synchronize. And some people call this a state of intuition. Now, whatever you want to call it doesn't really matter. And without getting mystical about it, let's just look at it for what it is. You have a heart. Did you know this too? This is some crazy facts. Is people tend to think all your neurons are flowing from your brain out into your body. All right, you're like, oh yeah, that's like the central command unit is like my brain. And actually though, you can look this up. Heart Math Institute has this. They've done a bunch of research on this. Where if you look at the flow of connections between which is from the brain going out compared to which is from the body going back to the brain, it's all in reverse. A lot of people think that the brain is the thing shooting everything out. It's actually 90% of the information is going back to the brain instead of from the brain outward. It's really gnarly. So actually your entire body is so intelligent. And we talk about nerves and neurons and neuroplasticity and all that. Well, your heart has billions of neurons in it. Your intestines actually have neurons in it. Your nervous system is neurons. So it's a pretty cool, comprehensive thing. And this is going to lead into our discussion right now. But it's like, we got to become really self-honest about what we're dealing with our human body. Our human body is so amazing. And we really overlook that. And so a really cool pro tip. What up, Drake? I saved the Tesla story for you. I'm just pre-framing everything because sometimes people will be misled when they hear the conversation that we're about to open up, and they'll think it's just intuition. So I'm explaining like on a physical level, what is intuition, how it can lead you astray, or it can actually be helpful. So what I would say is the best definition of intuition is where you can actually get that. It's called biofeedback. It's a real physical thing from your heart by putting your hand on your heart, hold it there for like 90 seconds. And then it will automatically give that feedback to your brain where now they will become synchronized. And when those are going in balance, you see how your life might be different than if they were in non-balance. Marcia put in the chat, yesterday my heart told me to listen to Mitch. Today my heart told me to listen to Jessica. That's not what I mean by your heart. Your heart is more just a thing within you that's supporting your body. The idea of the heart is misconstrued in society and culture, and it's made very romantic. By the end of this training, you're going to be able to be hyper clear on whether you should listen to me or Jessica or both or neither. Marcia. Marcia, by the way, I can never get over how much I love your photo. I have no idea what the hell that is, but it makes me laugh every time and I appreciate it so much. Like, is that you in a mascot suit or is that something else? So anyway, but this is starting to open things up because we can get into what's called mysticism. If no one here has heard the definition of mysticism, mysticism is basically believing that an outside force controls your life or that things that aren't real are actually real. And so, like, again, with intuition, it would be when your body is in its best functioning, and then you're just using your body and your mind to direct yourself. That's really all it is. What a lot of people think is intuition, where then they'll go into like, I don't feel good about this. Sometimes, yeah, you can actually pick up, like if another person has some really crazy intentions or they're like a psychopath or something, your body can actually pick up that information based on their, facial features and body language and all that. But most of the time, it's actually just something within yourself being triggered. And you're like, oh, I knew that person was a jerk. And in reality, like, you're a jerk. And it's this whole mental game. And so what we're going to get into on this training is how to be able to differentiate and really get it lined up. So all the time, without fail, you've got it really dialed in so that North Star, you're clear on what is the North Star and how to always make that happen. Okay. Now, Drake, you just jumped into the deep end with us. You're on the life raft in the deep end of the ocean.
Oh,
Navigating across the ocean, looking at the North Star. So yeah, I know you got a lot of good stuff. We were chatting earlier today, and yesterday. So what do you want to kick off with?
so okay. I'm just gonna share. You said you didn't share that Nikola Tesla story, right?
Yeah, share that.
So, man, if you don't know Nikola Tesla, he was an inventor, right? And held a lot of patents for a lot of different inventions. And you can see some of his amazing inventions if you look it up, right? And these are things that you won't see in the public today, right? And I'm sharing this because it was said that Nikola Tesla was so good at being able to see how different things would interact with each other, that he could do entire experiments in his mind without ever having to do it physically and know exactly what the result would be. And so he would do these experiments in his mind until he knew, this one's going to be successful. And then he would actually construct the experiment, do it, and it would give him the exact result that he was expecting. Now, how many people do you know could actually do this, right? How many people do you know can actually think together? If I put this element with that element, it's going to give me this result, right? And the reason that he was able to do that, if you really consider it, is because he had a strong grasp on reality. As in, he understood how things actually interacted in the real physical universe. Now, sometimes when I say that, people are like, yeah, but what about imagination? What about creativity? You can do so many things if you're just, you just allow yourself to fantasize and imagine. And I just go, wait, hang on, hold on, pump the brakes, right? Because Nikola Tesla created some amazing things that you would not believe today. He created the Tesla coil. He created, he had experiments where he was literally shooting electricity from miles away to a device that he had. And he was showing how he could spread electricity without the use of wires and without, needing to pay for it, which is pretty amazing, right? So if that seems like science fiction, guess what? He's able to do that, do things beyond what you think is possible because of his strong grasp of reality, because he has all of these data points within him he's actually able to do way more than what most people think is possible. Most people have a very weak grasp on reality, what's going on for real, right? And they're not, well, they don't want to face the reality of things because they fear that they'll lose some magic, or they'll lose some excitement, or they'll lose some part of them. And what's actually happening is they're not being honest about the reality. They're not being honest with themselves. Because check it out. Imagine you grow up watching, I don't know, Disney movies, whatever, right? And you firmly believe that you are going to marry a prince. But first, you're going to find this prince by kissing a frog. And so you go out and you pick up every frog that you can and you kiss it. Every time you see a frog, you're like, wait, hang on. This might be my prince. Hang on just a moment. And like, people are like, what the hell are you doing? You're out with your friends. Wait, it just rained. And I can't go out when it rains because I need to search under rocks and things like that to find my Prince Charming, right? He's going to be one of these frogs, right? That would be a complete waste of your life. It might be fun, right?
Well, and Drake, let me add this real quick. It's very easy for us to see this with other people. I'm sure we all know people who are out there searching for the frogs to kiss. Metaphorically, of course. Sometimes, though, we need a nice little mirror. Like, okay, look on the Zoom chat right now and find the picture that most looks like you. Okay, I found it. Oh, that's the person I need to look at.
Right. So exactly that, right? It's like, if you were to tell that person who's looking for the frog to kiss, hey, that's not really how reality works. They might say something, and I've literally had this conversation with people before. They might say something like, well, it makes, I choose to believe that is how reality works. But just because you choose to believe it does not necessarily make it so. It doesn't actually make it so at all. It doesn't make it so. It only makes it so within your own mind. That's the only way that you can have your own quote unquote reality, is within your own mind, which is really a trap, right? And it's not a trap in the sense of like, oh, they gotcha. It's a trap in the sense of it's really easy to get caught in your own mind. Your mind is really powerful. It's a tool that's supposed to be used for you, but it's really easy if you're not being honest about the reality of yourself and things going on around you. It's really easy to get caught in that trap and stay there, because you can control a lot of things in your mind. You can feel really good in your mind, right? And that's what a lot of people are afraid of losing, and why they wouldn't be self-honest, right? Mitch, I know you had an exercise.
Yeah.
You let me know if you want to throw that in.
Yeah, let's do it. This is perfect timing. So the word here, if you got a pen and paper, I'd write this one down. But the word that this whole training is on comes to this. It's called self-honesty. Self-honesty. This one took me 6 to 7 months before I felt like I had a grasp on it. From when I first heard the term self-honesty, I remember like calling Cameron and calling Drake and be like, what does self-honesty mean? Like what? Like what does this actually mean? And I was supported to really see it for myself. And that's the goal with this training, is to help you see it for yourself. Because do we all think the world's going to be a much better place? Think you're going to be able to make more money, have a better life, better family, relationships, if we're dishonest with ourselves, or if we're honest with ourselves? Now, one might be a little bit more painful right away, but which one's actually going to be more painful long term? You know, and this is what I would call as being mature. It's being willing to look at this, because if someone just wants to stay in dishonesty, that's like a very immature way of looking at things. But we're going to make this very fun and exciting, and we're gonna play along here where we can really see the benefit of self-honesty and how helpful it can be as a guide. So first thing is, this is a quote. We should all get matching tattoos of this quote. It's so dang good. Okay. I'm going to read it a couple times to you, but I'm going to suggest write this down. I commit myself to show that inner change without immediate outer change is a lie. Okay. I commit myself to show that inner change without immediate outer change is a lie. Like, do you have room on your body for more tattoos? If so, tattoos. All caps. Bold font. One more time. I commit myself to show that inner change without immediate outer change is a lie. And that's, shout out Bernard Pullman. That's in one of the Creation's Journey to Life blogs. He is the person who originated or put together the principles in the word self-perfection. I've never heard of that anywhere else. And here is, if you're not on live, you got to get on live. These Zoom chats are hilarious. JJ says, I'm going to get that tatted in a biblical scripture format on my rib cage. Let's go. So here are the three parts we're going to look at. All right. So self-honesty is willingness to investigate yourself, look at yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Seriously, y'all got to get on the Zoom chat. It's crazy. They're like quoting me. And wow. Don't let this go to my head. Okay. So part of self-honesty means you got to be honest with yourself about where you're actually doing good. Pretty interesting, right? A lot of times we go, oh, self-honesty, oh, it's going to hurt. Oh, but let's start with the good. So for a moment, just write out the good, colon, and just start writing out all the stuff you're genuine, like deep down, you freaking know you're actually doing good. Okay. Go for 1 minute. I'll set a timer on the clock. What are you doing good? Or well, for all you grammar freaks. What are you doing well? Marcia had a cool point. She said, one voice said, I want to have this chocolate. The other voice said, don't eat it, too much sugar. It's one of the self-honesty voice. That's good, Marcia. We'll address that. We'll address that in a moment. I'm really glad you brought that up. Marcia, you rock, by the way. You ask really good questions. Okay. 20 seconds left. Where else are you doing good? Doing well? Okay. Next up, the bad. The bad. So here's the question. Where am I doing bad? Just be honest with yourself. Don't make it more than it is. Don't be like, oh my God, oh, this is so sad and oh, poor me. No, just be like, hey, I know I could get up at 6 a.m. and I'm hitting the snooze button. What's up, Guy Tan? We're right in the middle of questions. So the question is, what am I doing bad? Thirty more seconds. If you're not writing this down, guess what you're doing bad? You're half-assing your life. You're playing small. Ooh. Tell Giselle my intuition's on point. I'm at Nikola Tesla levels. I can see reality for what it is.
You know, they said he used to be able to they said that he would think about what other people would think, how they might respond. Like it wasn't just, some electronics or chemicals and things like that. He was also exercising this when it came to other people as well. So you are Nikola Tesla level.
Yeah. Wow. And we're all interconnected. Our bodies are electric. Our thoughts are electrical impulses. So it's like thoughts do have an effect on reality. Just don't get it twisted thinking all you have to do is think. Okay. Now, third and final question is, what is ugly? So the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's kind of a phrase in English that we say like in the United States. But like, so now you got the good and you got the bad. Now what's ugly in your life?
Oh, I was going to say toads.
That's your own judgment, Drake. They're beautiful. I kiss one every day thinking it's going to be a princess. Okay.
You kiss them thinking they're going to turn into princesses? Is that?
No. Someone said, I saw the Family Guy clip where she like licks the toad and then like has that experience.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was trying to do. Yeah. So what is the ugly within your life? Don't judge it for more than it is, but just get it down. All right. So get that down. Then the very last part is just any insight you have on next steps for you to practically take. Capture that while it's fresh. Just give yourself a little star with the circle and then like an action, like some obvious action. Don't be like, I must change my entire life and walk my 7-year journey to life process right now, immediately. Just be like, I should make sure I do my self-forgiveness writing tomorrow morning on this topic. So capture what you can do. And then Drake. You know what time it is.
You know what time it is. All right. So, something to consider here, right? We're talking about self-honesty, right? And developing that self-honesty and really just, okay. I remember feeling within myself that I was a very positive person, right? Very positive person, very outgoing. People told me I was positive all the time, right? And probably even still today, I'm one of the more positive people that you'd meet, as in I've got a pretty, I don't know, upbeat personality, right? And I'm pretty much like that throughout most of my day. But I had gone years being this very positive person and not really seeing any real change in my life, right? But I thought I was positive, and I thought that was the secret. And I was just going to keep pressing harder and harder and harder on that until one day someone challenged me and said, I mean, okay, so you've been doing all this positive stuff. How's that working out for you? And I was like, good. Because I was positive, right? I was like, it's good, duh, hello. Were you not listening to me just say I'm positive, hello, right? And they're like, okay, well, that's good. I'm glad you're positive. But let's look at like the things in your life, the things that you actually want to change. So have you made more money? over this time that you've been positive? No. Okay. Have you gotten into the relationship that you are? No. Okay, so are you living in a nicer place? Are you like, enjoying the things that you're doing? No. I was like, okay. What about your car? You got a nicer car? I was like, I lost my car. No. Everything across the board was down, 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 down. And that's not to say that life is about quote unquote material things, right? But it was everything that I wanted to be up was down, except for me. I was the only positive thing, right? Interesting thing. If you have a polarity of positivity, guess what else you need? A polarity of negativity. It just manifests somewhere else, right? So what I realized was, oh, you know what? I've been deluding myself, lying to myself by saying I'm being positive or I am positive. But what does all that matter if I'm not living the life that I want? And so it was at that moment quite a bit of a shock, if you will. I didn't actually want to face that. That was the ugly for me. All of that was bad and ugly, where I was just like, can you not tell me that I'm not positive? Can you not challenge me on this? But actually, I'm really grateful that that happened, that I was challenged on that, and that I had the ability to just kind of step back for a second and go, oh, yeah, okay, that's fair, right? Because of that moment, I was able to shift in my thinking and really realize it doesn't matter how much of a smile I put on or how good I can make myself feel. What matters is there are real laws in this real physical universe that affect the physical. And if we want to have the best experience, even though we don't really talk about experience here, we're about the principles, we're about life, right? But even if you were just focused on you wanting to have a good experience, you're going to need to know how to work with the real physical laws in this universe to get the result that you want. Even if you think, hey, when I die, there's going to be something amazing afterwards. Okay, great. But you're here now. Don't you want this to be the best that it could possibly be? Right? And so realizing that, I started changing things in my life. And guess what? I made more money. I am married to the woman of my dreams, and we have a baby on the way, which I'm really excited about. I had no idea how that was going to happen. If I'm being completely honest right now, I had no idea how that was going to happen. I was just like, I want it to happen. There were no prospects, no relationships on the horizon, none of that. But me shifting actually allowed me to shift my relationships, allowed me to get the relationship that I want. All of that would not be possible if I was still deluding myself and not being honest with myself, and then willing to change those things. That's your cue, Mitch.
I like that. The suspended silence made it sink in. So yeah, I have a similar story where I remember when I first got acquainted with these principles and learning about self-honesty, it was like a conflict. Like I had the thing that Marsha was bringing up in the chat of like, I want to eat the chocolate, but I shouldn't eat the chocolate and whatever. And it was this whole thing. And in those moments, when you don't have that self-honesty developed, one, I mean, use the tools that we talk about in this group, Technotutor, DIP, all of that, join the calls, build the relationships. But really the main thing that helped me, especially early on, was reaching out for support with people who had walked this process. And I remember I had a really cool conversation with Cameron. And at the time I had a relationship that wasn't really working. And I had my business that was really working. But with both of them, there was this point I could not escape. I don't know if y'all can relate to this, but where you like know deep down what you're doing isn't the best thing for you, and it's creating consequences, and it's uncomfortable to look at, and you're really good at justifying it. And you're like, no, like just let me go a little bit longer and all that. Right? You don't want to face the point. You know, I know we all have had this. And I kept doing the self-forgiveness, but I would like avoid the point. So I'm like, oh, I'm doing my process, but you kind of avoid it. I thought, oh yeah, I should talk to Cameron, but Cameron's probably busy. Oh, I should hit up Drake. Drake's busy. I already know what Drake's gonna say. Like I was not at Nikola Tesla levels because I wasn't actually dealing with reality. Not to say that Tesla's some saint. He had really effective vocabulary in certain aspects. But finally, it came to this point where I had done enough self-forgiveness. I got a lot of support too from Guion, who's also in this group. And man, he encouraged me to look at my first 2 memories I had with relationships. Because I was going around this point of my relationship wasn't what I thought of it. This is not with Jessica. This is a previous relationship. And Guion was like, hey man, you're still clearly holding on to something here and you're judging it. Find those first 1 or 2 memories you have of relationships or where there was an extreme negative emotion and whatever you're holding on to and do self-forgiveness on that. So if y'all here are not aware of the self-forgiveness process or never done this, I'm going to encourage you, even if your relationship now seems good, you're still probably only cracking a little bit of the real depth to it. Is find the very first memory you have of a relationship and do your self-forgiveness process on that. And I did that. And it became abundantly clear to me. And I remember making the decision to go, okay, you know what? In my self-honesty, I know that this isn't best. I know that this is holding me back. I know it's holding her back. I'm going to have that conversation, just man up and end it. And it's not like if we had kids, it would be different, right? This is where the self-honesty comes in. But it was just us. It wasn't like we weren't married or anything. We weren't even officially together. It was just finally to end it. And I felt like a weight release from my body. It felt, has anyone else had this experience doing the process where the moment you hit the self-honesty and it's like you're wearing a weight vest and then it lets go? Priceless. And I had the same thing with my business. It was actually just before that. I was selling e-commerce. I was selling these pillows, making a ton of money, making way more money than I ever thought I could make. It was so great. But deep down, I knew this is not best. I'm making a bunch of money for China and Mark Zuckerberg. I'm selling shit that people don't need. It's ending up in a landfill. This is just not actually best. I did not get these tools in this group and these connections to squander it on some stupid e-commerce thing. Some of you might be doing something similar right now. It's on you to decide that for yourself. But here is the point. Here's the point. Reach out for support. Because early on, the self-honesty, you're going to hear like 12 voices in your head. And you're going to be like, I don't know which one to do. Use the tools, but then reach out for support and come on all the calls you can, because you're going to build the muscle. It's a self-honesty. To now bring it full circle, how we opened up this call was like, imagine you had a map or that North Star. So in any given moment, you know what to do. Guess what the North Star is? Guess what the map is? It's the principles. And yes, the principle of self-honesty is a key one here, but all 13 are really important. We have them all in the group. If you haven't seen them, reach out. We'll send them to you. Because when you have those principles, you're able to reason it out for yourself what is best to do in that situation. And when you do that time after time after time after time, there's a compound effect. That's really cool. And as all of us are doing this together, it grows exponentially. And you start to realize that principles, doing what's best for all, self-perfection, this is the only way forward. There's a cool quote. I'd write this one down too. This will help you during the tough times. Is the only way out is through. The only way out is through. So for those of you who are all messed up and you're pissed off and you want to cry and you're overwhelmed and your wife is yelling at you and your kid is crying and all this stuff, and you want to avoid it, the actual thing to do is go straight to the heart of it. And you'll realize you're probably making it a lot worse in your mind by not doing it. And the anxiety builds when you don't take action. And when you have that, you know, in your self-honesty, it's the best thing to do. And then guess what? You have this community, so you can come on the Friday calls or the next training calls, or just post in the group or reach out to me or Drake or whoever. You go, guess what I did? And you share your breakthrough with us. And then we all celebrate you. And it's amazing. Because most people in the world don't have people rooting for them. But in Self-Perfected, that's what you have, just by being in the group. Okay. So with that being said, Jake, you got anything to close it out with? We're right at the time.
Dude, that was sick. I love it. Like, this is super valuable. Obviously, self-honesty is really valuable. It's beyond just what you want. It's necessary. It's necessary to be self-honest with yourself so that you can create actual life here. Otherwise, you're just participating in your mind. You're just going to keep spiraling and circling. And I said this on another chat that we had. I think it was actually on the podcast. But if you turn your back on life, guess what? Life turns its back on you. And so you got to be really honest with yourself about what are you participating in? Are you participating in life or in just your mind? Because if you're just in your mind, that's not life. You're outside of reality. You're not participating in reality. You can't be outside of reality. Your mind can't exist outside of reality, but you just be participating in your mind instead of participating in reality. So get real or don't. But I would suggest get real.
Yeah, it's the best place to be. Because when you're real and you're building your business, you're building your relationships from that, you know deep down, your self-honesty, nothing can take that from you. That's what's so cool. Like, you're knowing that what I'm building is here forever. And it might take different forms, and over time it might change a little bit. But when you have that, and you know, every day I'm waking up and I'm taking action to build for real what's going to be everlasting, powerful stuff. People feel that around you. People will be attracted to you just because of that. Okay. So with that being said, thanks for being on. If you like this stuff, we're on every Wednesday doing a training like this. Next week, about to be even better. We keep it coming. Keeps getting better every time. If you have not got your ticket to San Diego, dang, y'all got to get on that. We still got some available. Just find it in the group or reach out to me. Like, it's this times a million. It's like literally this times a million, because people coming together, it just builds at such a deep level. And also, if you haven't shared the event with people to get more people there, I can encourage you in your self-honesty. Is it best for you to just not share, or is it best to actually, just reach out, send the invite to people? So cool. Well, we'll be on Friday on the hangout, Sunday for the podcast. I mean, we got a lot going on in this group, and it's only going to keep growing. All right. So get out there, practice that self-honesty, and get out there and share this with the world. All right, y'all. Thanks for being on. We will see you later.
Thank you.
There we go. All right.
All right, Ton, I'm expecting you to dance like that in San Diego.
Let's go. All right.